Good morning. Those of you in video land. It is now Sunday morning, and Robert is about to start. Yesterday, you know.
Flip the switch.
Mary, you're going to have to move over a little bit so we get a cleaner picture. Shoot over a little bit, guys.
Shoot over.
Okay, no, seriously now. Yesterday, Robert packed in many, many patterns, and we noticed that some of you seem to be going into a slight altered state.
No.
Now, because of that, this morning, Robert will do something a little bit different so that there remains a clarity of understanding.
Darn.
Well, there's several people. See, there was this trance state that was a little hard to observe on the camera, where we had about 12 people nodding off. And there were several others going. So, what we intend to do this morning is to allow everyone to wake up. Because we were at a resort area here in Florida, and everyone loves these seminars so much, we all went out to a comedy club last night. And I kind of think that maybe this morning Robert will tend to give us a few jokes as well as some of the other sleight of mouth patterns that he is so eminently good at. Robert, without further ado, or ado. So I anchored in the laughter last night.
Wait, you're taking my... I need my... Oh, if we're going to have clarity here. Good morning. Oh, yeah. Yes, of course.
By the way, we do have copies of Robert's books over there, and he has so kindly consented to autograph them for an extra $1. I thought, yes, yeah. At the break, you may purchase his 3 books. Would you like to comment on your books?
Comment on my books. They're very creatively titled. Yes. One is called Neurolinguistic Programming, one is called Roots of Neurolinguistic Programming, and one is called Applications of Neurolinguistic Programming. So that would really be, you know, since language really is the NLP thing, you know. Yeah, they're all very creatively colored. They're all like the, Neurolinguistic Programming, Volume 1, which was very cryptically titled since it's only been 7 or 8 years since it came out, and there's no Volume 2, so. This is called Sleight of Book or something, I don't know. Anyway, it's basically about strategies. It was intended to be like a textbook. It's not like a Frogs and the Princess book. So sometimes when people look at the little notation, they kind of go to, they do a little sleight of mouth to algebra, which it's not, and the little notations in the book aren't algebra. But it's basically about strategies, the whole idea of representational systems and how those link together in order to form the kind of cognitive strategies that people use when they think, kind of like computer programs. In computer programs of the brain, basically its statement is that the most important personal computer is the one that sits up there in between your ears, and yet it's the one that comes without a user's manual, and the software isn't always too user-friendly. So it's trying to give you some strategies for how to program, but it kind of lays that out. Roots of neurolinguistic programming is not, it's not roots in a basic sense, it's roots in what kind of technical fields did NLP come from. For example, neurophysiology, linguistics, systems theory, and that kind of thing. So it's actually, when it says roots, it doesn't mean simple, it means it's actually quite technical in a way, although a lot of people find that to be valuable because it does give you technical background. Applications, on the other.
At the very beginning, when you start with the triangle and the square and the circle, the question over to this side is, how do you know that? That
right.
question I understand pretty well, but last night I was thinking about that other question, what makes it that way? And I'm beginning to think that question could mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
In fact, it could even mean something like the old why that we don't use anymore. In other words,
Well, actually, see, here's an interesting thing with beliefs. Why is, to me, is an okay question to ask.
in this,
Yeah, because in a sense, what you're after here is the why questions.
that's what,
See, the interesting thing about what we're referring to here is in Gestalt, first in Gestalt therapy, and then kind of picked up by NLP and some of the more quote-unquote process-oriented therapies and psychological methods. I don't mean just therapy, but certainly in business and in education or health as well. The question is, it doesn't do you much good to have people give you all kinds of reasons as to why things have happened. What you want to know is how they happened and what's happening and where you want to go. Now, when you start working with beliefs, on the other hand, this is where it is okay to know why, because we're not just about, well, what strategy are we going to use to get from point A to point B? We are looking for things that have to do with identity. So therefore, from my way of thinking, why is, I mean, see, in sleight of mouth, you can say, okay, I won't say, why are you doing it? I'll use a how question. How come you're doing it? You know? But I mean, so you can shift it around.
Yeah.
But the purpose is to look for things like intention, like consequence, like motivational elements that sometimes, instead of giving yourself this rule that says, oh, I can't use a why question, and yet I want to know something about motivation, I want to know something about the background of this particular issue that the person is dealing with, that you can ask why.
that's what it came down to when you know, I find myself saying, what makes it that way? You may as well be asking,
Yeah.
why is it that way?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're getting.
And I think the only thing about why is that there's a number of different things that why could mean.
Yeah.
When you say, well, why does this happen, you could be saying, what is the cause of it, or you could be saying, what is the justification for it, or you could be saying, you don't have to be asking specifically about some sensory-based cause.
Right.
And see, the whole thing is, with the meta model and all that form of questioning, you're trying to get to some kind of a precision. And since why could mean cause, why could mean justification, intent, why could also mean, yeah, well, I think a number of other possibilities here, motivation, consequence, that it was too general of a term. And when you're working with something where you're trying to be precise about it, that is going to be too many directions for people to go. On the other hand, we're not talking about precision here. In fact, I've always wanted to, I was thinking of maybe naming this book, On Sleight of Mouth, Distortion. Since 90% of our communication takes place on a level that's distorted, why try to force precision? You can utilize distortion to make lots of changes. And so in a sense, it's okay for me. I might want to actually have the person even be less precise and less clear about what they're trying to say so that I can move around inside of some of these categories as opposed